Shadow Minister Greg Smith.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And in responding to this debate on the Renewable Transport Fuel Obligations Sustainable Aviation Fuel Order 2024, can I say from the very outset that the transition to sustainable fuel is a topic that has had my interest for many years. Some may even say I am very capable of becoming a complete bore on the subject, but I will not push the limits too far this evening. The Honourable Gentleman for Easington knows that all too well. Indeed, we both served on the Transport Select Committee during the last Parliament, where our Fuelling the Future report championed sustainable and synthetic fuel. And as well, I've put it into practice, but in my case on the road rather than in the air in a classic Land Rover powered by synthetic fuel for my past 2 summer surgeries tours, for which I draw the House's attention to my entry in the Register of Interests. But there is a clear and undeniable role for these fuels in our path to 2050 across all transport modes. Aviation is possibly the most difficult to defossilise and decarbonise, but they are also ahead of the curve. Sustainable and wholly synthetic fuels are an innovation that enable everyone to continue doing what they want to do, be that flying on holiday to see family or on a business trip to general motoring, in a different, cleaner, eventually defossilised, carbon-neutral way. Not reinventing the wheel, but reinventing the fuel. Yeah. With the SI in front of us today, I can assure the House, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the opposition are not looking to oppose or divide on this. Quite the opposite, as this statutory instrument is a continuation of plans set out by the previous government. Sustainable aviation fuel was one of 6 key measures in the last government's Jet Zero strategy, supporting the growth of sustainable aviation fuel in our United Kingdom. The cost-benefit analysis produced by the Department of Transport before the general election suggested that the SAF industry could add over £1.8 billion to the economy and create over 10,000 jobs in the country. The gradual transition to SAF is the correct way to go, requiring 2% of UK jet fuel to be made from sustainable sources in 2025, 10% by 2030 and 22% in 2040. That being incentivised through the award of tradable certificates with a cash value. That said, and it's rare that I make this comparison, Madam Deputy Speaker, that said, the UK target of 2040 falls short of that set in the European Union of 34%. The Conservative government recognised that SAF may be more expensive than traditional jet fuel in the intermediate term. And our plan included a review mechanism to help manage prices and minimise the impact on ticket fares for passengers. So my first question to the Minister is, can the government reassure the House that the impact on passengers will also be kept to a minimum to ensure that they are not footing the bill? Providing that sufficient SAF is available, any increases in airfares as a result of SAF will fall well within the range of usual fluctuations in prices we see every year, and the previous government had plans in place to prevent any major hikes. So can the government confirm that they too will guarantee that there will be no major hikes in prices so that we can transition to net zero in an affordable way, taking people along with us? The Conservatives also kick-started the UK SAF industry by allocating £135 million through our Advanced Fuels Fund, which was funding 13 projects to reach completion and supporting our ambition to see 5 plants under construction by 2025. So can the Minister provide an update on these projects, as they will be vital in helping us move towards using sustainable fuel? Where I would urge the Minister to focus future thoughts, however, is in the field of how to ensure the UK is a power hub for eSAF, which I clarify as 100% synthetic aviation fuel, and to gently kick the tyres on whether we are progressing the technology as quickly as is humanly, financially and scientifically possible. We have significant players in this space in the United Kingdom, like Zero Petroleum, who sit on the Jet Zero Council and indeed hold the Guinness World Records title of first aircraft powered by synthetic fuel in 2021. I visited their plant over the summer, where they are producing engineering levels of synthetic fuels, including aviation fuel, to hear about their progress and better understand the obstacles in their way. It is essential these innovators are empowered to grow, develop their fuels and provide both green solutions to aviation fuel and value to our economy going forwards. With power-to-liquid SAF getting a sub-mandate starting in 2028, reaching 0.5% of SAF by 2030 and increasing to 3.5% by 2040, this is again slower and less ambitious than the European Union's 10% figure by 2040. Some experts have said that this suggests the UK has a more cautious approach for power-to-liquid and that the United Kingdom's strategy focuses on monitoring progress under the mandate with the potential to revise these targets depending on technological advances. So where the SAF mandate and the SI before us today could go further in its future iterations, Madam Deputy Speaker, is very clear. According to the explanatory memorandum document, if subsidised hydrogen is used to make eSAF under the Hydrogen Production Business Model, HPBM, support scheme, you can't claim SAF certificates against the mandate. Without HPBM support, there is the risk that the cost of green hydrogen will be far too high for eSAF to be produced at a competitive price in the United Kingdom. Indeed, there is even the risk that the eSAF production cost will be above the eSAF mandate buyout price. If the cost is above the buyout price, this will mean that no UK eSAF plants will get built, and therefore all of the UK's eSAF demand will be fulfilled by foreign producers. The HPBM is needed to bring down the cost below the buyout price under the SAF mandate. Both support under the HPBM and the revenue certainty mechanism are needed for UK eSAF projects to be bankable. For example, credit or potentially subsidy stacking needs to be explicitly allowed. The SI before us is clearly supportive of the power-to-liquid pathway. However, building on this, it would be prudent for government to express an intent to financially support domestic eSAF technology developers such as Zero Petroleum or OXCCU, as opposed to project integrators, in order to give a boost to this much-needed industry in the United Kingdom, as well as helping the country to benefit from the vast export potential of this technology. This could be via a dedicated power-to-liquid technology grants, such as fuel synthesis, direct air capture specifically for fuel, and or potentially equity funding, for example, via the UK Infrastructure Bank. There is one further anomaly that the ATI, the Aviation Technology Institute, which is UK government funded, is not permitted to deploy funds to power-to-liquid technologies. And I put it to the Minister that that should be corrected. Madam Deputy Speaker, we can be a powerhouse in the United Kingdom for SAF. The new government is right to continue with the path set by the previous Conservative government, and so we support the motion today. But the potential for the future is huge. And in the spirit of getting this right, I urge the Minister to consider the points I've outlined and supercharge our great country's role in this technology.